Hi, this is Mike Collinson here. Come out this morning and flat tyre on my wheelbarrow. This is the second time in about 3 weeks. In fact, the last one I took it into a garage and had it repaired. But I can't remember how much it was. It was quite expensive, so I thought at the time I'll pick up some patches. If it happens again, I'll have a go at repairing myself. So 99p patches for a set of 4. So here we go. I'll show you how I set about repairing the tyre. The first thing I have to do obviously is to take the wheel off to be able to get access to it. This particular one is held on with a nut on the end of the small axle. So it's just a question of holding one side, undoing the other side, and taking the wheel off, ready to work on it. The next thing to do is to take the dust cap off the valve and push the valve back inside the steel rim. I've seen a few people use a crowbar to take the tyre off, and to use the axle as a fulcrum point to pull it round and to separate the tyre from the rim. But as you can see, I didn't have a lot of success with this. Perhaps I was a bit afraid of ripping into the inner tube, and I didn't want to push it too hard. But I'm sure this does work for some people, but just not for me in this case. I settled instead on using a couple of screwdrivers, which seemed the easiest thing to do. One thing you do have to watch for is not catching the inner tube with the end of the screwdriver. So just be careful when you're levering off the tyre. It just takes a bit of patience. Once you get it worked over the rim, you can generally work your way around and ease the whole tyre off. As I say, it just takes a bit of patience to do so. The next job is to make sure the valve's pushed completely back in and carefully pull out the tube, working it around from the tyre. The next thing to do is to put some air in the tyre so we can see where the leak is coming from and identify the spot. hole's pretty small, but I could find it easy enough. The air was blowing out onto my fingers, so it wasn't hard to find. Um, the the puncture actually was caused by a hawthorn. The thorn from it, I've got a lot of growing in the field, and I suspect I'm going to get this happen to me again sometime soon in the future. Um, I like to mark the area, so you know exactly where to put the patch after you let it down. It's not quite so easy to see the hole, so I mark it with a black marker pen, which works just fine. I let most of the air out of the tyre, but I do like to leave a little bit in there. Um, you don't need to leave too much, but it's just nice to leave a little bit of air in there for when you put the actual the tube back into the tyre. The small amount of pressure won't make any difference to the patch you put on it. Next job is to thoroughly clean the area to make sure the patch sticks. I use some alcohol-based hand cleaner for this, which seems to work just fine. Just give it a dab, wipe it off, and it's good to go. Now it's just a question of applying the patch. Open up the packet, take the paper backing off the patch, and press it firmly down on the tyre, on the tube rather. It's quite important to actually make sure this is pressed firmly down, and on the instructions it actually tells you to use a screwdriver or a piece of metal just to press it out firmly so that there's no air left and the adhesive makes full contact with the tyre. Once this is done, the tube can be put back inside the tyre. It's quite important to make sure the valve lines up with the hole when you're putting the tyre back in. As I said before, it's handy to have a little bit of air in the tyre. It just makes it slightly easier to insert it. So I just like to make sure there's a little bit of air in the tyre when I put it in the tube when I put it back. All that's left to do now is to put the tyre back on. Easier said than done. This does take a bit of fiddling to get it on. The tyre can be quite hard to stretch over the rim. It's just a question of having a bit of patience, just taking your time over it, being careful not to trap the tube while you're doing it, and start on one side and work your way around. Now the tyre's back on. It's just a question of now of inflating the inner tube back up to the right pressure. Once the tyre is blown up, it's just a question of putting back the dust cap on and bolting back the wheel, and there we go. It's all finished. The actual cost, when I looked at it, there was 5 patches in the pack for £1, so about 20p or 30 US cents for each puncture. So well worth doing for the sake of half an hour. Without taking it to a garage. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please take a moment to subscribe. I appreciate all the subscriptions and look forward to seeing you all again. Bye bye.